Resistance troubleshooting on the 4400, 4600, and SC916 is a great thing to learn because you're going to eliminate your components one by one. What you want to do is differentiate between whether you have a mechanical problem or an electrical problem. So let's start with mechanical. Mechanical problems give themselves away because usually you'll have a noise. So let's say you pedal and you start hearing a grinding noise. That normally indicates your drive hub assembly is having a problem. If you hear something like a ratcheting sound, this may be a loose belt or possibly a belt that's starting to come off. Once you eliminate some of the major mechanical issues, then you can start to troubleshoot the electrical system. So what we're going to do is the easiest test for the electrical system. I'm going to get up on the pedals here and I'm going to go into my diagnostic screen. We're going to hit our level up, then 6, then enter. So we're in diagnostic now. Now down twice, the alternator test, and enter. So our resistance dropped out, just like the problem we were talking about. Now, what we're going to do is press our level up button one time. Now, we're sending voltage down to the alternator when this is in the on mode. So the fact that we're getting resistance now indicates that our cable going down from the console to the lower control board has good communication and that the console can talk to the lower board and send voltage to the alternator. If you were to lose resistance during this test, I would check the cable first. Look for bent, crimped, or loose connections on your cable. We've got several other components that we can take a look at. So we're going to talk about the battery, the load resistor, which from this angle, it's kind of hard to see. It's on the back here, but all load resistors look very similar, so they're easy to spot. Next, we have our speed sensor and our alternator. So let's talk about the battery for a moment. You're going to get one of 3 readings on a battery. You want to make sure and be pedaling when you measure the voltage, or else you won't get a proper reading. Okay? So start out by measuring the voltage on the battery with your pedals moving. A reading of 6 volts or greater indicates that the battery is fine. A reading below 6 volts but higher than 4.8 indicates that the battery needs to be charged for 24 hours. A reading below 4.8 means that your battery is toast. You should throw it out and just buy a new one. If you do all those tests and you rule out the battery, you want to take a look at your speed sensor. Make sure that it's a business card's thickness from the speed disc. If that's the case, then you should be able to verify that it's working properly by measuring the AC voltage in this. Now, any of these tests that I mentioned have been discussed in previous chapters. So if you want a more in-depth description, you can refer back to those sections. So once we verify that we're getting 3 volts AC off of our speed sensor, we can rule this out, and we can take a look at our load resistor. Load resistor tests are pretty straightforward. You just want to unplug this from your lower control board, and you want to do an ohms reading. They may vary based on model, so you can refer to our documentation if you want to get the exact readings for each one. The thing with load resistors is that they'll cause the resistance to come and go, which means that you might pedal for a few steps and have the pedals drop. Then as the resistor cools down a little bit, you may get resistance for a few steps. If it goes back and forth like this, it's almost always a load resistor. The last thing to talk about is your alternator. You can test your alternator by taking off these connections on the back. This one is the B+, which is a white wire, and then we also have the field connection, which is a brown wire. As discussed in previous sections, all you need to do is the B+ to field test. You connect a jumper wire to each end and just start pedaling. It's as simple as that to rule out your alternator. Once you've gone through these components in this order, you should be able to troubleshoot any resistance issue on our steppers.